My name is Jack, and today we're going to look at 15 ways to improve your English speaking skills. This video is designed to help you make progress step by step. We'll break things down in a way that's easy to understand, and we'll take a close look at how you can use these tips in your everyday life. If you follow these steps regularly, you'll see real improvement in your speaking ability. Let's get started. Tip 1. Learn words through phrases. Instead of learning one word at a time, it's much more effective to learn words in phrases or groups. What does this mean? It means that when you focus on studying English, don't just focus on individual words. Words don't often stand alone in conversation. They usually come as part of a phrase. For example, instead of learning the word morning by itself, you could learn the phrase good morning or how is your morning? This helps you connect words more naturally when you're speaking. When you study in phrases, you're learning not just vocabulary, but how words function together. You start to understand the rhythm of the language, and this helps you speak more fluently. So when you learn new words, try to group them with other words. Think about how these words are actually used in conversations. For instance, instead of memorizing I eat, practice what do you like to eat or are you going to eat now? By doing this, you're making it easier for yourself to recall phrases, not just isolated words, which is closer to real-life communication. Tip 2. Watch videos with subtitles. Watching English videos with subtitles is a great way to improve both your listening and speaking skills. How does this work? When you watch a video, especially one that you enjoy, turn on the English subtitles. By doing this, you can listen to what the characters or people are saying while reading along with the subtitles. If you don't understand something, the subtitles will help you follow along. For example, if you're watching an English movie or a YouTube video, even if you miss a word or phrase, you can read it on the screen and understand its meaning. The benefit here is that you're seeing full sentences and learning how English words fit together in natural conversation. This can also help you improve your vocabulary because you'll notice new words in context. Even better, you're training your brain to process both visual and audio information at the same time, which is great for language learning. Start with simpler videos if you're just beginning, and as you improve, try to watch more complex content. Tip number 2. Record yourself speaking. Recording yourself speaking in English is a great way to monitor your progress and see where you need improvement. You can record yourself talking about any topic you're interested in, your hobbies, your job, or even a story you recently read. After recording, listen back to yourself and try to identify areas where you can improve. Are you pronouncing certain words incorrectly? Are you speaking too slowly or too quickly? Are you pausing too often? By analyzing your own speech, you'll become more aware of your strengths and weaknesses. It's also helpful to compare your recordings over time. You might be surprised at how much progress you've made after just a few weeks or months of consistent practice. Practice with English-speaking friends. If you have friends who are fluent in English, ask them to practice speaking with you. It doesn't have to be formal or structured. You can simply have a conversation about everyday topics. The more you practice speaking with fluent speakers, the more natural your speech will become. Ask your friends to correct you if they notice any mistakes, but also try to relax and enjoy the conversation. The more comfortable you are speaking in English, the more confident you'll become. Tip 4. Use language learning apps. There are so many helpful apps available now that you can use to improve your English. Some apps offer exercises for speaking, listening, and even pronunciation practice. If you haven't already, try downloading an app that focuses on English learning and start using it regularly. Many apps have features that let you record your voice and compare it to native speakers. This is a great way to hear how you sound and make corrections. You can also practice shadowing, which means listening to a native speaker say a sentence and then repeating it out loud, trying to match their pronunciation and tone. The best part about these apps is that you can practice anytime, anywhere. You don't need to wait for a teacher or a language partner to be available. You can set aside just a few minutes each day to practice speaking, and this will help you get more comfortable with English. Tip 5. Expand your vocabulary by reading. Reading is an excellent way to grow your vocabulary and improve your understanding of how words are used in context. The key is to read things that interest you. If you choose something you enjoy, it won't feel like a chore, and you'll be more likely to remember the new words you learn. For example, if you love sports, try reading news articles or blogs about your favorite sport in English. If you're into fashion, read fashion blogs or magazines in English. This way, the new vocabulary you learn will be relevant to your life, and you'll be able to use it when you speak. When you come across new words, don't just write them down. Try to make sentences with them. Use them in your conversations, or even when talking to yourself. This helps to reinforce the words and makes it easier for you to recall them when you need them. Tip 6. Talk to yourself. This might sound strange, but talking to yourself in English is a great way to practice speaking, especially when you don't have anyone else to talk to. You can narrate your actions throughout the day. For example, say out loud what you are doing. I am making breakfast. Now I am pouring milk. This will help you get used to forming sentences and speaking them out loud. Don't worry if it feels awkward at first. The more you do it, the more comfortable you'll become. If you feel up to it, you can even record yourself and listen back to see how you sound. Many people don't like hearing their own voice, but it's a helpful way to find areas where you can improve. This technique also helps you practice thinking in English because you're constantly talking about what's happening around you, which leads to faster sentence formation when speaking. Tip 7. Listen to recordings and repeat. Shadowing. Shadowing is a technique where you listen to a recording of someone speaking English and then try to repeat what they say as quickly as possible, mimicking their tone and intonation. You can use videos, podcasts, or even this video for shadowing practice. This method helps improve your fluency because it forces you to speak at a natural pace and to use correct pronunciation. The goal isn't just to say the words correctly, but to sound as natural as possible. So, when you're shadowing, try to copy the speaker's tone, their pauses, and the way they connect words. You can start by shadowing short, simple sentences, and as you get better, move on to longer or more complex recordings. Over time, this will help you develop a natural rhythm when speaking English. Tip 8. Prepare for daily conversations. Think about the conversations you'll have in your day and prepare for them in advance. For example, if you're going to work and need to greet your colleagues, think about how you would say it in English. Good morning, how are you today? Or if you're going to a restaurant, practice asking, can I have the menu, please? By preparing in advance, you'll feel more confident when you're actually in these situations. This is a great way to reduce the anxiety of speaking English, especially if you're in a new or unfamiliar environment. It's like training for a sport. The more you practice, the better prepared you are when the real moment comes. Tip 9. Speak with native speakers. Speaking with native English speakers is one of the most effective ways to improve your speaking skills. If you don't have any native speakers in your area, try finding language exchange partners online. There are many platforms where you can connect with native speakers who want to learn your language in exchange for helping you with English. Speaking with a native speaker can help you with more than just pronunciation. They can teach you how people naturally express themselves and help you avoid sounding too formal or stiff. Don't worry about being perfect. The goal is to practice and learn from the experience. Remember, native speakers might not know all the grammar rules, but they do know what sounds natural. So they can give you feedback on your speaking and help you sound more like a fluent speaker. Tip 10. Know your audience. When you're speaking English, think about who you're speaking to. If you're talking to a teacher or in a formal setting, your language might be different than when you're speaking with friends. Pay attention to how others are speaking and adjust your tone and language to match. For example, if you're speaking in a business meeting, you'll want to use more formal language. But if you're chatting with a friend, it's okay to be more casual. Being aware of your audience helps you communicate more effectively. Tip 11. Ask for feedback. When you're learning to speak English, don't be afraid to ask for feedback. Whether it's from a teacher, a friend, or even a language exchange partner, getting feedback on your speaking is essential for improvement. If someone tells you that you mispronounced a word or used the wrong phrase, don't feel embarrassed. Feedback is a key part of learning. Without it, you wouldn't know what to improve. So whenever you have the opportunity, ask people to correct you or point out where you can do better. A good way to do this is to record your conversations or practice sessions and then ask for feedback on specific parts. You could ask, was my pronunciation correct here? Or, did I use the right tense in this sentence? This focused feedback will help you make targeted improvements. Also, don't just wait for people to point out your mistakes. Ask them for tips or suggestions on how to sound more natural or fluent. Sometimes a small change in tone or word choice can make a big difference in how well you communicate. Tip 12. Practice with tongue twisters. Tongue twisters are fun and challenging, and they're a great way to practice pronunciation and fluency. They force you to focus on difficult sounds, and because they're tricky, they train your mouth muscles to speak more clearly. For example, you can practice saying, "She sells seashells by the seashore," or Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. At first, it might feel hard to say these quickly and correctly, but with practice, you'll get better. Tongue twisters help you develop better control over your pronunciation, and they make you more aware of the sounds in English that you might be struggling with. Plus, they're a fun way to break up your study routine. The more you practice with tongue twisters, the clearer and faster you'll be able to speak in real conversations. Tip 13. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. One of the biggest barriers to improving your English speaking skills is the fear of making mistakes. But making mistakes is actually a natural and important part of learning. If you're too focused on being perfect, you might end up not speaking at all. The best way to learn is by speaking as much as possible, even if you make errors along the way. Remember that everyone who learns a language makes mistakes, native speakers included. It's better to speak and make mistakes than to stay silent. The more you speak, the more you'll learn from your errors, and the faster you'll improve. So, when you're practicing your English, don't worry about being perfect. Focus on getting your message across and learning from any feedback or corrections you receive. Over time, your mistakes will decrease as your confidence and fluency increase. Tip 14. Immerse yourself in English. Immersion is one of the best ways to improve your speaking skills. This means surrounding yourself with as much English as possible in your daily life. You don't need to live in an English-speaking country to immerse yourself. You can create an English-speaking environment wherever you are. For example, you can change the language settings on your phone, watch English TV shows and movies, and listen to English music or podcasts. You can also try to read English news articles or books, even if they're at a beginner or intermediate level. The more English you expose yourself to, the more familiar you'll become with the language. This constant exposure will help you pick up new vocabulary, improve your listening skills, and get a better sense of how English is used in different contexts. It also gives you more opportunities to practice your speaking. Improving your English speaking skills can be a long process, so it's important to set specific, realistic goals for yourself. Instead of saying, "I want to be fluent," try setting smaller, more achievable goals like, "I want to be able to introduce myself confidently in English," or "I want to be able to order food in English without hesitation." When you set specific goals, it gives you something concrete to work toward, and you'll be able to track your progress more easily. Each time you achieve one of your goals, it will give you a sense of accomplishment and motivate you to keep going. Make sure your goals are realistic for your current level. Don't aim to give a complex speech if you're just starting out. Start with simple conversations and gradually increase the difficulty as you improve. Additional tips and exercises to improve your English speaking. Join an English speaking club or group. One way to improve your speaking skills is to join a group where people practice speaking English together. Many communities have language exchange clubs or English conversation groups where learners can come together to practice speaking in a friendly, informal way, who are also learning English. These groups are great for getting practice without the pressure of a formal class. You can talk about everyday topics, ask questions, and even make friends in the process. Ask your friends to correct you if they notice any mistakes, but also try to relax and be able to communicate clearly. Don't get too caught up in trying to sound like a native speaker. Having an accent is perfectly normal and doesn't mean that your English is bad. However, if you feel that your accent is affecting your ability to be understood, you can work on reducing it. There are many resources available to help. For example, if you struggle with the teach sound, spend some time each day practicing words like think and thought. Remember, the goal is not to eliminate your accent, but to make your speech clear and understandable. Conclusion: improving your English speaking skills. By learning new vocabulary, practicing with native speakers, or immersing yourself in English content, every little bit of effort helps. By following these 15 tips, you'll gradually build your confidence and fluency. Remember, there's no shortcut to learning a language. It's all about consistency and practice. So keep speaking, keep practicing, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of our future videos.